the election.
So you want me to do a deep analysis on why cops blow women's heads off?
It only happened because Trump tried to.
Wait, you're gonna blame Donald Trump for a police officer blowing a woman's head off?
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely blame him for.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dismal.
Creating
Dismal, you're the first person that I'm gonna say this to. The first person I'm gonna say this to is that if you were to donate to John, I would reject those campaign funds. We don't want your money.
I don't want to contribute.
We don't want your funds. You don't believe in protecting women.
You're not at risk.
Shameful, Dismal. Shameful. I like to consider myself a gentleman. I've served as an officer in our Grand Republic of the Army, and I've met men who I would say are not necessarily gentlemen, and I've met some ladies who I would also say are not quite ladies. But Dismal, I asked you earlier how you find peace, and you said you pick strawberries. Well, Marshall, I'm just wondering if maybe you could help arbitrate. Was Ashley Babbitt murdered?
Was she murdered? She was killed. I don't know if she was murdered.
You didn't see the video of her getting her head blown off?
I did, but murder is something that you plan.
It didn't look like murder to you?
He's talking about Mensfria,
yeah, he's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You mean a patriotic American who felt that she was being cheated and went there for some political redress, who went through a window getting crushed by a crowd, and she got her head blown off by a cop who's got anxiety? You didn't think that was murder?
No, again, murder requires in the world legal intent, right? That's why it won't be appropriately described as manslaughter.
So do you think when he shot her, he was intending to help her?
That he is raising the point of Mensfria, which wasn't something that could be constituted based on the situation that would have happened.
So
I think more positive outcomes would have happened if he wouldn't have shot her in the face.
Well, obviously.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad we can at least agree on that. I was just wondering how you define murder. But now that we know how you define murder, it makes sense to me that, Marshall, Mojo is going to use his Marriott Bon Voyage points and put himself up in a fantastic hotels in central Illinois, probably Rockford, Peoria. We're wondering if you'd like to fly out to Illinois, paid for by the campaign, to help train door knockers and campaign volunteers for the campaign to elect John Kitover.
Yeah, dude, if it's paid for, I'll go. Sure.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't be so dismal. We need Marshall's campaign experience. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with people.
I'm going to be dismal. Sorry.
Dismal, what I'm saying is young volunteers for this campaign who are unsure of their government and the $37 trillion in debt, when they meet Marshall in that training room, they're going to feel that they are talking to a man who has 20 years of experience talking to thousands of voters and activating large audiences.
Maybe he should run in his own district, but I don't agree with what you're proposing, and I hope he doesn't join you.
That's okay, Dismal. Like he just said, if it's all paid for, he's willing to go. He's never been to Chicago before.
Mojo is in Washington State, so he isn't.
Yeah, but Dismal, I live next to O'Hare Airport. I can pick up all campaign volunteers, and Mojo and this campaign fund that we are generating here now has over $1,000 in it. That can buy a lot of experience for this campaign and a lot of forward momentum and activity. So Dismal, your dismal outlook is not appreciated, and thank you very little. But I would still love for you to give $10 to this campaign right now.
Thank you very little. Interesting quote. You're not even proper English, by the way.
Obviously, you don't know the movie Fletch with Chevy Chase, but that's okay. I don't think you know a lot. And I don't think you've ever been in the Situation Room and consulted presidents. But I don't know. It's just my opinion, Dismal.
I need more begonias. Yeah, I don't think I'm winning friends here, so.
Well, listen.
Yes, you are. We love you, and we love your voice. You have such an ASMR voice, Dismal. It's nice.
Dismal, listen, I guarantee there's at least one person in the audience that agrees with you that that woman deserved to get her head blown off. I'm sure you've won over at least one person.
I didn't say that. That was not my intention at all. Like, I was literally stating.
Well, you gave some pushback when people were saying that she shouldn't have had her head blown off.
Investigate the root cause was what I shared, and I will stick by that. I think if you stand on principles, it's more challenging to be.
Okay, so here's one of the principles that I stand on. I don't believe that innocent women should be shot in the face.
I don't think that. I would agree with that, but I also think, like, if you look at the root cause, like, why was she there in the first place? That's problematic. And so she was she was essentially, like, hustled into being there. And who would be laid to blame?
Well, let's say she was tricked to show up, and let's say that she was there for all the wrong reasons. You would agree with me on this. She did not deserve to get her head blown off.
I would agree, but I would also go back to, like, what was happening, what was there at the time, and I think
At the time, there was a head on her shoulders.
I think it's important to look at why was she there in the first place, and, like, looking at the core.
Maybe because she was interested in civics and she thought that the election was important and she loved her country. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's potentially like that would have happened, but I think it's important to actually just investigate the root cause of a problem, rather than just expounding on or riffing on the bumper sticker headlines.
Okay, well, listen, I have to get to bed soon. I'm probably going to stay logged in, and you guys will see my PTR, but I'm going to be going to sleep soon. I just want to see if we can get one last push, just one last push to get a donation across the board. I don't even care if it's $1. Can we just get one more donation before I go to sleep so I can know?
I would caution people, like, donate to doctors without borders, not.
Well, that's fine.
Not to an
Well, how about this? How about tomorrow? Well, we can't do it tomorrow. How about on Friday? You come in the room. We'll put a title of Doctors Without Borders, and you can make a pitch to why people should donate to Doctors Without Borders. But tonight, in the next couple of minutes, can we just ask the people that are in this room, on the stage, that are in the audience, to make? We can't do this.
No.
Why not?
Just don't. Like, I don't even think you would necessarily agree with his antics.
Which antics are you referring to?
To be discussed at a future point, right? You're going to bed.
Yeah, you've got my attention now. You said something interesting. What antic would I not support?
He is recording people assembly, which is, like, literally violating the terms and conditions of not only this application, but also YouTube.
Did you know that the community leader of Clubhouse was in this room earlier, and he followed me, and I followed him back, and we were talking about live streaming rooms to YouTube, and after learning about this, he decided to follow me.
Do you mean show our media?
Yeah.
Tweaker
He and I
was
broke up for a little while after I did my temper tantrum and went to Chatter, but it looks like he and I are friends again.
He's followed me even though I, like, literally, like, signed up a new account, and I don't think that means anything, actually.
Well, no, but he
Not impressed by that.
But he heard very clearly, and he's the community leader here in Clubhouse, that these rooms are being streamed. In fact, I would argue that the founders of this app have decided that they want people to share these rooms. It's because it might attract more people to the app. What do you think of that theory?
Do you want my, like, frank perspective on this? Like,
Sure, we might disagree. I mean, we disagreed on the fact that a young woman shouldn't have had her head blown off, but maybe you'll have a different perspective here.
I literally think that we're suffering this unfortunate crisis of people just deciding that individuals, trying to sort of gather thoughts, but I think,
Dismo, do you love your country?
I do, and I think I love it more than I think I loved what it had been, and I'm seeing it now broken, and that's unfortunate from
here's the
my
thing.
perspective.
So John Kitover also believes it's broken, and so my question is, do you love it enough to help John save it?
I think he, I'm going to be fair. I think he expressed a couple of, really good ideas. And
So is that worth $1 or $2? Is it like $2 worth of support, or
not
$4?
I don't fund campaigns, as a principle. I just don't.
Oh, so you don't put your money behind the things you believe in?
I do, but I do it in charitable donations, not campaigns. Campaign financing is problematic from my perspective. I think that's where.
Well, you're not financing a campaign, Dismal.
So how is he supposed to compete with the billions of dollars that the Republican Party funds for these people that'll get into office and take taxpayer dollars, squander them, and then borrow money that adds to a debt that will never get paid off? Whose side are you on, Dismal?
Whose side? That proposes a binary.
Are you on the people's side? Because John's for the people.
But I think that proposes a binary option, and I think if you're holistic and you look at and investigate the root cause of some of the turmoil that we face, you would find yourself more in a centrist position, and that's where I am.
Okay, but what's the centrist position then, Dismal?
To not give money to things they believe in?
And not give money to political campaigns that are just going to waste the money for your advertisements, and those are shitty. Why would you want to donate that when you can donate to Doctors Without Borders and somebody can actually get medical treatment? That would be a positive donation.
See, I just want to let you know, Dismal, that I'm creating a YouTube short right now, and I will run this conversation as an advertisement in the district, and I want to thank you personally for being a part of the campaign to elect John Kitover. Even if you can't give $1 or $10 or $1,000, your voice, your personality, this conversation will be used in the campaign illicitly, according to Dismal, but I say explicitly, according to candidate campaign John Kitover for Congress in the 16th District.
And I'm going to use this as an armor to actually attack you, Ben. I think it's reprehensible what you're doing.
I think you need some pushback on Doctors Without Borders, by the way. I put some of it in the chat, but I would never give them a fucking dime. They have absolutely the most. I mean, it's embarrassing how they claim to have neutrality, but they completely ignored anything to do with Israeli victims that were demonized. They ignored the victims. They erased the massive war crimes of Hamas. They were claiming that that a hospital was bombed when they had no evidence whatsoever. In fact, it went into a parking lot.
They
It's
literally,
just like a
we had,
completely horrible organization, and there's so much
they have
evidence
good accounting,
produced
and
by
I
Israel
think you're
showing.
creating this.
I know exactly what I'm
false
talking
idea.
about. I read about them all the time, and I see these fake testimonies by people that they put out on social media.
This is
It's absolutely
what
would
makes me
never
like,
ever recommend anyone to give that organization a dime. It's completely biased. There's no question how. I mean, that's not even like a gray area. That's very clear. They're completely biased.
It literally, the organization in and of
Literally
itself
horrible.
isn't. No, and they do provide like good accounting.
For Hamas. For Hamas. Tell me what they've done for Israeli hostages or Israeli victims. They specifically will ignore.
You're speaking about one issue, and this is a global organization.
Yeah, this global organization that claims impartiality absolutely ignored victims, completely demonized the country after they were brutally attacked. Horrible organization.
Atrocious.
Atrocious. Never would support them.
Dismally despicable.
Sorry, guys.
It's a global organization.
Yeah, I'm very aware what they are, but they're also completely politically biased, totally woke left bias, and in this situation, completely ignoring victims of brutality.
Like you're talking about one topic.
Refuse to help them.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting late, and our dear Mojo is praying to the Lord to go to sleep. I just want to do a little positive ASMR experience for our wonderful positive Mojo vibration. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Be of good courage, fellow clubhouse brothers and sisters, and he shall strengthen your heart, all you who hope in the Lord. Know that wisdom is such to your soul. If you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Be happy, yes, leap for joy, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. Anything is possible if a person believes. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. My Father's will is that everyone who looks to the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Oh, that's the good one. That's going to be the campaign motto. Acts number 35. It is more blessed to give than to receive. So I updated my PTR to Winston Churchill, that great, wonderful warrior and courageous political leader who fought evil and darkness and sick science and insanity in Europe, in Germany. Without that great man, this world would have been plunged into darkness. And I gotta say, without Donald John Trump and J.D. Vance, I think America would have also been plunged into chaotic clown world darkness. And I say root for the team that you're on, and fork it over for Kitover. Make a $10 donation to the campaign to elect John Kitover right now. Click that link above if you've enjoyed that brief little ASMR reading. to help put you sweet little beautiful angels to sleep. I hope you enjoyed it. Go to johnforcongress.com or click that link above. Tom Anderson says this guy is insane. Apparently he doesn't like good ASMR. Did anybody here enjoy the Bible flashcard ASMR experience? Sorry, what was that next? I didn't see who said it, but Mojo seems to be pleased. I think he enjoyed that sweet little ditty before bed. You know, this is what it's like in the Army. This is called taps. Many of you have never stood at attention to taps, but this is what taps sounds like. But that is the memorial taps. You know, I think there's a letter penned to it from the Confederate War, but they do that in the military. I think it's in all branches, but that's the way to say, time to go to bed. I just want to read one more thing on behalf of the campaign to elect John Kitover before we all go to bed. This is called the Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation, and the decision to vote to the campaign to elect John Kitover in the positive mojo vibration and much appreciated donations room. Your help and support for this ASMR Declaration of Independence experience is much appreciated. Click that link above right now and give $10 or $100 or $1,000 if you're enjoying this historical ASMR experience.
All right, I'm down for the $1,000, but what are you gonna do with the money?
We hold these truths to be self-evident next, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw...
What are you gonna do with the money, dude?
to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid clubhouse world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them.
So what do you do with the money?
He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them, and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have
What are you
returned.
gonna do with the fucking money, dude?
Have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
Beyond my understanding.
He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice
Remind me of the Bakers, Tammy Faye, and the other fucking dude.
by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone, for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He
This is my
has
way of living. I lie to people, give them false hope, and something I don't believe in myself.
He has created a multitude of new offices, and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to the acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures, and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here, by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fail themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions in the most humble terms, our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose charter is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by the legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of Congress and General Congress, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that reading of the Declaration of Independence. It's a pretty intense document. if you enjoyed that reading, consider giving $10 to the campaign.
I'm from the UK, but I've never heard that before. That was, yeah, it was.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. What did you think about it?
Well, I thought how beautifully it was written, and it sounded like you sounded like a British person reciting it actually, and the use of the language, but obviously there was influences at the time, but you'd have to reread it a couple of times to actually get the full understanding, because obviously we're not used to that language now, are we?
Well, it must have sounded like that when they wrote it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. But it's not what we hear now, is it? It's from a completely different era. But yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for reading it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of people say that's unconstitutional or anti-constitutional. It's like there's a lot of things you could say that are anti-Declaration of Independence. I mean, it seems like they're violating the way that the government acts now. It seems like they're violating a lot of the reasons why they declared independence in the first place. So I think the quote is why.
Well, that is something that you does spring to mind. I mean, I don't know enough about it because obviously I'm from the UK, but
I mean, I can ask Grok, ask Grok to tell me, anyways, to ask for the contradictions. Ask for the contradictions.
I think one of the things is obviously is that was done at a certain period of time, and it's what principles that is trying to encapsulate and secure as a basis of government that are no longer applicable. And that's the thing with having a constitution that's so clearly written out and has amendments and all the things that you guys hold so dear. Yeah, because but by definition, amendment would indicate some degree of flexibility, and obviously we haven't got a constitution like that. We have a common law, we have legislation, and we have common law, which defines how you interpret legislation or what have you, and there's more flexibility in that. But I'm not having I'm not having a go, because I'm not saying which is right and which is wrong. But yeah. You guys are still going. I was here in the God knows what time. I've just got up again.
I know, it's wild. I'm taking a break tomorrow from this app and shutting down my production studio here in my bedroom. And I want to thank Mojo for all these positive Mojo vibration experiences that I've been recording and live streaming. My YouTube account, my primary one, it's just like unbelievable how many videos I've been recording over the past couple weeks. And, a lot of great conversations, a lot of great crash outs, typical Clubhouse stuff, going on 5 years recording Clown House.
Yeah, and I see you're John Kitover. You're the John who is going to stand for election.
Yeah, in the 16th District of Illinois.
Okay. Are you standing as an independent, or are you standing?
No, Republican.
A member of like the Republicans or Democrats?
Republican, yeah. This is Abraham Lincoln territory. If you don't run as a Republican in Illinois, you just don't understand Illinois history.
Okay, so you can forget it. Yeah. Forgive my ignorance. Are you standing for like the House of Representatives or the Senate or?
Yeah, representatives, congressman, federal congressman, 16th district.
Have you got much chance? I remember now, because just before I left earlier on, you're standing against obviously a Republican candidate who's been rejected by the party, and you're. How does that work then?
It goes
How
to
can you stand?
in March. There's a primary. They decide at the primary who the
Right. So you're
the party
standing against the
representatives.
other
Yeah.
guy in the primary, and then
We're working on signatures and organizing for that laborious task. What's interesting about the Declaration is, there is something in there. I wanted to call it out that they make it overly burdensome with papers and judicial and all this stuff. It's very much the same way with ballot access here in this country, as Marshall, I'm sure, can tell you about crazy ballot access stories and how difficult it is for independents or people from outside the clique to get the required signatures, let alone go through an unscrupulous process of disqualifying signatures and then follow up court examinations. It's my Chicago political experience was amazing. I met characters. I met all kinds of people who you would never meet in your entire life unless you ran for office and, basically did it all from home, mom and pop or grassroots. It's a wild experience meeting people who work and control and manipulate politics, and there's a lot of ego and a lot of wasted time and stupid people who don't know how to grow organizations, or they want to control organizations, or they that's the one thing that amazes me about life is I think, oh man, I want to maximize the growth of this business or organization, but not a lot of people think that way.
no, and then they get in the way because hang on a second, no. It doesn't work like that. That it works this way for us, and we don't want to change. It's a change, also, isn't it? But we have the same in the UK. If I wanted to stand for a party, I'd have to go in front of the local committee for that party, and they've probably been in that position as committee members for God knows how many years, and I come along and I want to make change. Oh no, that's not easy. Not at all.
Okay, so I want to propose that we do a hard out. I'm going to hard out of here in 17 minutes. Thank you all for any remaining conversation. We're at 16 minutes till I leave the campaign, and the positive mojo vibrations with everybody else here is you can chill and stay. I think Mojo said he's going to sleep. But, it's been a lot of fun here on Clown House today. I feel like it was another rock out, baseball game day, and maximize the day of campaigning here on Clown House and across multiple media platforms. Okay, Simon, I wanted to share with you a campaign poem inspired by this great man in my photo.
Okay, Winston.
This is called Vote John Kitover and click the link above. There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 and 1 and 1 and 8. First let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will, corpse rigid, thus thou mayst abort the fidget babes that tease the thought. Next, let the breath rhythm be low, easy, regular, and slow, so that thy being be in tune with the great sea's pacific swoon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swayed softly as a windless palm. Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound. Fifth, let the thought divinely free from sense observe its entity. Watch every thought that springs, enhance, hour after hour, thy vigilance. Intense and keen, turned inward, miss no atom of analysis. Sixth, on one thought securely pinned, still every whisper of the wind. So like a flame, straight and unstirred, burn up thy being in one word. Next, still that ecstasy prolong, thy meditation steep and strong, slaying even God, should he distract thy attention from the chosen act. Last, all these things in one overpowered, time that the midnight blossom flowered, the oneness is. Yet even in this, my son, thou shalt not do amiss. If thou restrain the expression, shoot thy glance to rapture's darkling root, discarding name, form, sight, and stress, even of this high consciousness, pierce to the heart. I leave thee here. Thou art the master I revere. Thy radiance that rolls afar, O brothers of the clubhouse star.
He was a wordsmith. What a man.
Sorry, what'd you say, Simon?
What a man. What a linguist. What a wordsmith. What a leader.
It's kind of funny. If you think about his name, wins ton, wins a ton of times. You know, it's a great neuro-linguistic programming name. Wins ton.
Yeah. What made you read that out?
I don't know. It's just a poem I like. If you like that poem, consider sending 10.11, $10.9 to the campaign to elect John Kitover and enhance your positive mojo experience. And thanks for listening. It's been a long day here on Clownhouse. Look at how many comments there are in this room. Don't you? I mean, Simon, look at that. 1.8 thousand people have left comments in this room. Like, you know, it's a shame that it's not on replay. It would be great if it was on replay, because it's a lot of content here that just burns up in the clubhouse ether.
How do you see how many comments have been made? I can't go to the room chat or whatnot. Not that it really matters, but you know, just,
It's in the lower left-hand corner. If you can't see it, then I guess you can't see it.
yeah, I don't think I can see it because I've got an old phone, so that's why I couldn't vote. Because I couldn't update my app because my phone was too old. Who won the poll? Was it the Chilism? There was the political correctness. I can't remember the other one. I think it was.
I don't know the total outcome. I think In the Muff probably won.
Yeah, Inland Bath. Anyway, good luck, my friend. I hope you. Yeah. How much have you raised so far? You know.
Like $550 now, and I'm gonna match that 550, so we're at about 1,100.
Hey, cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good for momentum. You know, I was trying to get into this X space today where there are people who are involved in local politics and do have connections, and people do look at their accounts, but they would not bring me up on their stage today. But they did feature another person running for office, so they may be curating their space. But there's a lot of people that carry grudges, and if you are connected, associated, or attached, or perceived as being, you know, connected with people that they really do not like or hate, um, you know, it is a little click, and people want to control their dopamine experience. So, this is kind of an artistic campaign, and hopefully we can have some, social media virality and large impressions on some, content. Um, I'm not, I'm not, I like to be controversial, but I also, do not want, I don't know. I mean, I think talking about $37 trillion is controversial enough. I don't know how much more controversial you need to get than just talk about the national debt. So, but it's gonna be fun, and it's August now, so I've got a couple more months to get all these signatures.
Well, you've got a hot topic in which you're standing on, because it is like, we're all the West countries are in ridiculous debt, but I don't actually know how much ours is, but it might not be it won't be as much as yours, but relative to our size as a nation and our GDP, yeah, we're all in the shit, really. But my politics is I'm green, but I'm the Green Party not because so much of the environmental, but it's the only party in the UK that believes in taxing wealth and not labour. So I'm for, and I've got my own business, and I'm relatively successful and financially in a good place, but I think we need to tax the wealth because we're
They also don't know what a woman is.
Oh, I do. I've had a few.
Well, apparently the Green Party doesn't, so go figure.
Oh, well, you've got idiots in every party, to be honest. So I don't,
Well, they had a shit show in Scotland, so I mean, definitely not a party I would subscribe to.
Yeah, well, as I said, there are no party's got like the monopoly on good policies and the right thinking. So you have to sort through all the shit and idiocy that every party shows and has, and work through what you think is the most important thing for the world and for our country to go forward. And for me, bearing in mind I've built my wealth on capitalism, I think it's fundamentally flawed and rigged. And I think that the difference between the rich and the poor is as big as it's ever been, and it's not sustainable.
I agree with you, but redistribution is a different matter. It's got nothing to do with all the bullshit of gender identity that the Green Party is pushing forward in its agenda. So, I mean,
I agree, and that's why I think all parties shoot themselves in the foot, because we get too uptight. So that gender identity. I mean,
I'm telling you, I'm really concerned about UK. I mean, I'm not British. I'm Italian. But I lived in UK for a long time, and I was married to a British person, and my children, 2 of my children are living in the UK. And I'm seriously concerned about UK at the moment. It seems like it's going down the drain, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. British politics is. I thought Italian politics was bad until I saw what's going on in the UK at the moment.
What about it, do you think? Because I'm not so pessimistic. Because we have.
For a start, okay, the government, Keir Starmer seems to not to know how to govern the country. I mean, his politics are erratic, to say the least, and contradictory. You have now I personally, I've always been a left-leaning person, but right just now, I mean, the Labour Party definitely wouldn't represent me, and Jeremy Corbyn's new party is a joke. Come on, let's face it, is a joke. And the only thing that it's going to do
it's stealing votes from the areas in UK where you have a high concentration of certain ethnic minorities, and stealing votes from the Labour, so allowing probably Conservative or Reform Party to win. And I think it's like shooting your foot, basically.
Yeah, well, I look, at this stage, I don't take Jeremy Corbyn into. I think he's a fabulous parliamentarian. So he obviously was excluded from the Labour Party, but still won his seat in Islington, and that's because he has a lot of people who believe in him as their member of Parliament, not about what party he represents. So obviously he's gone on now to create a party, but I don't take that seriously. And Labour, as we knew it back in before Blair, yeah, because the fact that Margaret Thatcher, was so successful, whatever you think of her, she was. That dragged
all the bad things that I can think of. Somebody that ruined the planet, basically. Yeah, go on.
Well,
Sorry.
but as I said, you can think what you want about her, but the reality was, because she was so successful in elections, she dragged Labour from the left wing with like Michael Foot and Neil Kinnock, dragged them to a central position, which was Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. So Labour as the left wing party, really, that doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, I remember, I'm an old lady, I remember that time, and I remember that the world changed during that time. It was the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War, so that the entire planet shifted position. I mean, all the left parties, including the left in my country, that was heavily financed by Russia, they just had to either change or disappear. They changed and they became more Blairite, if you want to call it, but they forgot to be the party that was representing a certain categories of people. They focused on all the left throughout the world, even in United States. They focused on things that didn't concern normal workers. They started to concentrate on civil rights, which of course we're all for civil rights. We're all anti-homophobic, we're all anti-racist, and so on and so forth. But who's going to take care of the people that are actually working at minimum wage and cannot sustain a lifestyle in any of the big major cities in the world? I mean, nobody is caring about them. And this is my personal fight, at least in Italy. My party has done exactly the same that the Labour Party has done. My party, I'm saying the party that I used to vote. And I don't think I will vote them anymore, by the way. I mean, there are people who are actually employed and they work for €8 an hour, and they have a contract, but they can be fired at any time, which I understand in this kind
of
0-hour
contracts if you're not working.
Exactly. So, I mean, how can you expect these people to be not disfranchised from any political party if nobody is trying to sort their financial situation? People are in debt. People are getting poorer and poorer. So, I mean, it's obvious that people are not interested in politics if they're not, if nobody is willing to take on, this task to promote a more equal, a more better distributed society. I mean,
everything you say, I absolutely 100% agree with. Yeah, and I could sit back and what do I care? I'm wealthy and my life's okay, blah blah blah. But it doesn't work like that, because I have one daughter who's a teacher,
well, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It's got to do with this society that is basically destroying the basics of families. I mean, yes, it's most of the time it's the parents. I wouldn't say fault, but inability to control their own children.
Yeah.
And so on. But it's also the fact that a lot of these parents are in very badly paid jobs. They cannot afford to guarantee the minimum. I mean, I remember that once upon a time, back in the 70s, when I was very, very young, there was a pride being working class,
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, I used to go to UK very often, even as a very young person. And I remember working class areas, where everything was neat and tidy, and people took pride of being a working class. I mean, nowadays I lived in Aberdeen, okay, for a long time. And I went back to Aberdeen about 2 years ago, and I couldn't recognize it. And Aberdeen was an extremely rich city, if you remember. I mean, it was the oil capital of Europe.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But the oil price went down, and all the major companies shifted, and they left Aberdeen. This meant, obviously, that the rich left and the poor remained. And Aberdeen is basically a boarded-up city. There is nothing, no shops, nothing. It was so sad, and I saw a lot of youngsters' delinquencies. I mean, I was at the train station because I was going back to Edinburgh, and a bunch of young people with nothing to do, fighting. I mean, it was just like living in a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree, and the other thing, I mean, because my two elder daughters, I've lived in London, but I don't anymore. I came out of London, but they live in London now, and without parental help, they wouldn't have been able to buy it.
Oh yeah.
Flat. No chance on their salaries would they have been able to save up.
But my son is living in Surrey, but he's got a very high paid job, and he can afford to live there. But in normal circumstances, it would be impossible. I mean, where he lives in Surrey, I mean, houses go for a minimum of £1 million or something.
Oh yeah, that's just. But in London, you're talking. If you're going to get a 2-bedroom flat in London, wherever it is, you're talking 300 to 500,000 for a flat. Yeah.
And if you rent, it's even worse, because landlords don't give a fuck. Sorry, pardon my.
No, you're wrong. Totally
Don't give a
right.
shit about the properties.
You can't get a mortgage with your salary, but you're having to pay rent that's more than the mortgage if you'd have been able to get one, which is just a joke. Yeah. So there's loads of. I don't actually. I do go. It can't continue like this. But because what happens is when the middle class sell their properties to fund their retirement, which is also now what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
They downsize, sell your house in London, move out of London, and you've got some money that you can live off because we haven't got a big enough pension. Yeah, that's a scenario now.
That's another issue. Yes, I know. I'm perfectly.
Yeah, so all these, it's just, and those properties get gobbled up by when I say the rich, I'm well aware of the fact I'm not going to be a hypocrite, but they buy it. The economics of it is they buy up the properties and they turn into landlords charging extortionate rent. So the concept of a middle class and a working class just is now, it's not the same. It just isn't.
No, I know, because even, I mean, you get segregated in areas. I mean, if you cannot afford a decent accommodation in the UK, you're segregated in areas with high violence, drug smuggling, and so on and so forth. You don't want to raise a family there, you know.
But the funny thing is, you could, and this is another thing about the UK, the imbalance between north and south. So I'm from Leeds, which is in the north. That was my home city.
I could tell from your accent.
Can you? Okay. So and so I went down like everybody does after university. Gradually, you go to London to get your job. I mean, I was a lawyer. That was my qualification and training. But that in itself pushes prices up, and I just can't see how it will last. Whereas if where I now live, which is a place called Peak District, just outside Derbyshire, you have a chance, so at some point, I can't see how it will continue as it is. But there's a massive immigration issue in London as well.
Yes, and this is another thing that I blame the left for. I mean, I do understand that people want to emigrate. I consider myself an immigrant, you know, but I came to UK as a married person, but I was an immigrant. I was. And I've lived most of my life abroad as well because my ex-husband was working in the oil industry, so we lived in India, we lived in many, many places. And not wanting to consider illegal immigration as a problem is stupid, to say the least. You know, it's irresponsible. I mean, immigration is a factor and needs to be considered. How do we want immigration to be tackled by the politicians? I mean, is it a problem or we want to sweep it under the carpet?
Well,
sorry, I just wanted to finish this. If we want to consider it as a non-problem and sweeping it under the carpet, you will see the rise of left, far-right movements that will listen to the concerns of people. Sorry.
Which is obviously what we're seeing happening with reform. Yeah.
Yes.
I think part of the issue is, we have a set of laws about dealing with illegal immigrants. Go through a process because we think that's fair. Give them a chance. They maybe have a justifiable right to come here for whatever reason, or not. But we have to find out. We have to go through a process. The problem is the volume and the numbers means that the legal process, it can't keep up. It just can't.
I know, it's staggering. I know, it's the same that is happening across here.
So the problem, we're then in the problem is, well, we've got all these people coming, but we're trying to do the right thing by going through a process. Because also, a load of boat people come over from France, and I think that's part of the issue. I mean, we've got this one in and one out. I'm not quite sure what that means now in agreement with France, but they arrive on the beach, in the south of England. Well, what do? You can't go, sorry, turn round and go back. You can't do, you've got to do something with them. And so,
I understand, and this is...
And I agree, it's just overwhelming. Something needs to be done. But nobody actually has come out with a practical solution. I want something practical that can, work. That's why I wasn't particularly against sending them to Rwanda. And on the face of it, you go,
I was just going to agree with you, because Italy is under fire at the moment, because the government that we have at the moment, Giorgia Meloni, who is not a person I would have voted for, and I don't think I can vote for somebody like her, but I have to agree with the fact that she tried to tackle the problem by creating these centers with an agreement with Albania to get at least the process of finding out whether these people have legal rights to come to Italy or not. A lot of them don't, because most of them are coming from Bangladesh Pakistan, and don't have any legal rights to come to Italy because it's not a dangerous place. I mean, we don't consider Pakistan as a place where people are in danger unless they're Christians or homosexual.
Do they come on the back of existing factors? That's another thing, because obviously because of the previous empire we have a lot of Asian people living in the UK, and they came when we wanted them to come. Yeah. And what happens now, and I don't really understand clearly enough, is that they have a right to bring family members over. Well, hang on a second, that wasn't part of the deal as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you're here, but it doesn't mean you can bring, your mum,
your auntie and your grandfather.
But then it's complicated because then on the other side of it, our NHS, the care system, that is where most of the legal migrants go, and that's like 300,000. It's not a small amount of people, because that they're lowly paid jobs, and the British person doesn't seem, they doesn't want to do that. So so when people say we don't need them, well, it's a bit like in the States. There is quite a high percentage of illegal immigrants that are in work. They're getting paid. The employer's just turning a blind eye, and he needs some cheap.
Yeah, but I mean, as a left person, I think you are as well. If you pay more, people don't have any problems doing any of these jobs. I mean, I don't know anybody, at least in my environment in Italy, that wouldn't do, a cleaner's job if they were paid a decent wage. There's nobody. I mean, job is not something to be ashamed of. I personally wouldn't mind either if I had the need to and I was paid a decent salary. I wouldn't have any problems waiting tables. It's a job. The problem comes when you trade these jobs for somebody who's an illegal and pay them under the minimum wage. I mean, if you pay somebody €2 an hour to pick tomatoes, come on. I mean, at the end of the day, you got your job done and you paid the person like what, €400 a month. This is ridiculous. This is not acceptable by any human standard.
But what makes it workable is that person will live in a house with people like them who come over here, got a job, earning what they send the money back, but they're not living a life here. They're just using it as a means to earn money, and they are compromising on a life that because the reason I know this is because I had a friend who ran a company that found staff for car wash, car washes. So
it's the same across here.
Yeah, and so he used to get 8 guys to work a car wash. He'd find them a house to rent, put them all in the same house, and so financially it stacked up because of the way that they were.
Yeah, but this is unacceptable.
But
for any standard.
Well, it's not real, is it? Because a British person, no. They might do that for a year, get money, and then send it back, whatever, and then they go back home. And there was one guy who told me that managed to get enough money to get enough work there for a couple of years, and bought a house in it was Romania, where he'd come from. So it was a means to an end. Whereas a British person that's just not going to happen, is it? So you're completely right. So the salaries.
Yeah, because it's pushing the salaries down. I mean, there is no incentive to an employer to raise the salaries in order to encourage people to come and work for them if they can get cheap labor. I mean, we're going back to the 18th centuries, when the first the industrial revolution started, and people could get fired from a factory if they were protesting for low salaries, because the industrialists knew that they could fire anybody because they could find find somebody else doing the cheap labor. We're back to square one. I mean, all of the fights, all of the blood and in unions and stuff like that, it's gone down the drain.
One of the things that pisses me off, so if you're like an Amazon or a Meta or an organisation like that, what you do is you park yourself offshore, right, to avoid tax. You're making loads of money in the UK, but you're not paying tax on it. Certainly not sufficiently. They've done some kind of deals with these companies, but their head office and for tax purposes, their domicile is the word for in Jersey or wherever it may be. That really, you should pay tax where you earn it, not where you're fucking. Sorry.
Yeah, but look what happens to the Italian car company Fiat. They closed basically everything in Italy. There's almost nothing. It's still considered an Italian company. Still gets money from the Italian government, but they transfer their legal what is it called?
Yeah, the entity, the corporate.
Yeah, the entity in Holland. And why Holland as part of the European Union, because unfortunately Italy is still part of the European Union, doesn't have, has become a tax haven for companies around Europe. That's not acceptable. I mean, if we are a unity, so-called, we should have more or less the same taxation. And the same happens with Ireland. Ireland is another tax haven.
Oh, yeah, no, it pisses me off royally. Because I do business here and I pay tax here, whether it's the company paying tax or whether it's my personal tax. And then these large organisations, go and park themselves in Ireland, or it's just not acceptable to me. So that's part of it, and the other part is the wealthier too, and because the argument is, you don't disincentivize the entrepreneur because he's the person who creates the jobs and and the wealth of the nation. So don't disincentivize him by taxing him too much. Well, there's too much and there is not enough. And where is that point? I because to disincentivize, I build a business because I'm motivated by that idea, and I know that if I do well, I'll earn more and have more freedom than if I was in a and I've been in a paid job as a director, and no, I wanted to do so, but I never put it down to an amount of money that I needed to earn in order to be motivated. So I think that's, but for me, that's not true, and that's bullshit. But that is.
I completely agree. I completely agree with you. I think exactly like you. I mean, I think that private enterprise should be encouraged, and the more we see in the Western world, the better we will be all. The better off we will all be. But again, it's a problem of distribution, and this huge mega company that have no incentive on, having people on regular salaries. They're obviously encouraged to take any loophole they can to avoid paying taxes. I mean, Amazon, as you took as an example, they don't pay taxes, I think, in Italy, or at least they pay minimum amount of taxes across here. But the workers for Amazon are paid less than any normal worker because first of all, they're encouraged to be self-employed, which is bullshit. I mean, there are people working on a regular job. They should be paid by the company. No, they're supposed to have their own companies, paying their own taxes, and Amazon pays peanuts. I mean, what is what is going on here?
mean, I'm not a dramatic person, but if you think about it, the situations like this that I read, I think this may have been a dramatic overstatement, but it was like, you know, we haven't seen situations like this. The difference between the rich and the poor is sort of like it was in the French Revolution back in, whenever that is, it was it the 1700s, I don't know, and so it becomes potentially a revolutionary issue.
I can tell you something even more enlightening. I like to read about economy. I'm not an economist, but I studied economy. Situations like that arose in the 20s during the golden age. I mean, before the Black October, and this opened the door to the First World War. Okay, no, not exactly the First World War, because we're talking a little bit later than that, but the Second World War, with a massive inflation that hit Europe, specifically Germany. I mean, I'm not considering also the treaties that were extremely was an extreme burden on the German economy, the treaties of the First World War. But I mean, any situation where you have an economic crisis.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Can you mute yourself? We can hear too many people talking on the back.
Are you discussing about some important thing?
Well, it is to us.
Mm-hmm.
So you can talk, but you know, that's it. Mute.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, mute first. There we go.
So, economic situation where, you know, they can determine the stability of a society. This is an historical fact, and so this is quite a tricky moment for all of us, considering that also we have two wars. Although we're not personally involved, directly involved, we're still involved, and this is causing a lot of economic problems within our countries. I don't know. I mean, I'm not so optimistic as you are, Simon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's probably more a reflection of my nature than reality. But hey, yeah, I don't know.
I will ask asylum to
do you know what
Australia. Probably.
Well, what it is underlying it all that historically, and there's no guarantee that this will be in the future, but the British tend to be quite pragmatic. So what I mean by that is that there is necessary. So when it gets really shit,